I am the secretary of the ISSA board this year, and I'd like to welcome you to our closing keynotes. So for our first keynote, I want to introduce one of our platinum sponsors and their president from Centricom, Mark Robinson.
Thanks, Mike. I'll keep it quick. So, again, my name is Mark Robinson. We're at Centricom. We're based out of Findlay, Ohio, about an hour and 20 minutes northwest of Columbus. We are a managed security and network service provider. We cover pretty much anything from Pittsburgh to Chicago, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. So it's my pleasure to introduce Tsion Gonen. I will read a quick blurb here. Tsion is responsible for developing, he's the Chief Strategy Officer for SafeNet and is responsible for developing SafeNet's global business and product strategies. He leads the development of new business strategies that identify, capture, and capitalize on emerging market key trends within the information security market. I'm not very good at reading pre-planned text. So my personal plug here is that Tsion is a really cool guy. He's an interesting guy. He lives in Baltimore, so thanks for making the trip. Yeah, so you're in Buckeye land here, my friend. So go. I don't know, is Maryland still in or? Okay, yeah. Any Wildcat fans here? Kentucky? I grew up in Kentucky, so I have dual allegiances with Ohio State and Kentucky. But you know, Tsion is truly a global security executive and served in a variety of roles with multinational organizations. So very excited to welcome Tsion, and thanks for making the trip.
Thank you. By the way, that thing, when someone reads your bio, it sounds much better than in real life. I have to say, like, I wish my wife would believe half of what Mark just said. He's a global executive, a global thinker, he's so cool. My wife would go now, like, Mark, after your pitch, she would go like, bullshit. Based on a true story. This is a nice crowd. So my name is Tsion Gonen. So what I really do, I run strategy for SafeNet. We're an InfoSec company. And part of what my role really is about is trying to figure out where are we going as an industry? Where are you going? What's going to be the challenges ahead? And trying to understand if we can help. What do we need to do to develop what type of solutions in order to help? I've been doing this for SafeNet for 6-7 years. And I have to say that, interestingly enough, we're living in a time that we sort of thought would happen. And that's my role. So I travel globally. I do this type of things, meet a lot of people across the world, which is really interesting because you hear different ideas. People react very differently to what's going on. And so I would like to share with you some stuff. So I have a couple of very good news. First ones, if you noticed, I turned on the projectors. There's no slides. It's all natural, like they say in Europe. And so there's no slides. And we're going to talk. So that's the first part of the good news, I guess it's good news. The bad news for the cameraman, I'm probably going to move around. The other bad news is if I use foul language, I'm really sorry, I can't control it. I'm going to try not to use like really, really, really bad words, but I can tell you this is going to be at least PG-13. At least. We might like leak into R-rated at some point, but PG-13 for sure. Another thing of great news, do you guys see these two new hacker movies that are out there now? Black Hat and the other one, but you know it's out, right? There's two movies, so listen, you have to check this out. This is unbelievable. I've been in the information security industry for 20 years. We are the nerds, right? We're the nerds, the uncool people, the ones with the... Did you see? You should see the guy that plays the hacker. It's the guy that played Thor. The guy's so good looking, it's amazing. Like, I was first excited that there's a movie where the hacker, the security analyst is like the hero. And I said, wow, that's really cool. But then I saw how he looks. I said, wow, that is a huge compliment. This is sick. I mean, we're the nerds. And suddenly we have movies. It's so cool to be in InfoSec. We have very good looking people playing us, it's acting us. This is great. This is really good news. Another piece of good news is that, it's good news and bad news, I guess, is that obviously something has changed, right, as an industry. And I can tell you as a vendor that being on so I've been half of my career, by the way, on the practitioner side, on your side, on my annoying accent and my bad attitude is I'm Israeli. So that's where it comes from. And I've been on the practitioner side when I was in Israel. I moved to the vendor side when I moved here. And the good news is that, as being on the vendor side, we spend so much time trying to scare everyone. So, everybody here that met a vendor for the last, 15 years, if you don't buy my stuff, you're gonna die, right? If you don't buy this and put this is going to explode. They're going to steal all your things. There's going to be really bad things happening. That's what we've done. But I've served as a CMO in a couple of roles, like Chief Marketing Officer. That's what we do, right? It's like some of the politics that you see now, like the Iranians and everything. Everything is going to blow up if we don't do something. That's what we've done forever. The good news is, I can tell you as a vendor, you have to do way less scaring right now. In the last 3 years, you know what? I actually tell our team, seriously, don't scare. When the vendor comes and puts up the first slide, let me show you how many breaches happened. And you go like, seriously? I know. I know. Don't try to scare me. I know. You don't need to scare anyone anymore. I get it. 5 years ago, you had to scare people. You don't need to. The other piece of good news is I can tell you, I meet a lot of people like yourselves, and you need to do less scaring. You need to do way less scaring. Vendors sometimes forget that the CISO or the security practitioner on the other side has to scare other people to get budgets. You need to go to the CFO and say, and I remember people were trying to justify, how do we justify a security investment? Is it like an insurance policy? Remember the insurance policy metaphor? Or how do we justify? The guy comes to me and says, but we invested last year. Why do we need to invest again? You need to do way less of that today. That is a piece of good news. Really, way less scaring needs to happen. Also on your side, on the vendor side, less scaring. The bad news is, it's because shit is happening. This is the bad news. The bad news is that this is a very strange time. Very interesting time. I talked with someone earlier today, and I was mentioning, I don't know if some of you go to the RSA conference in California unfortunately, this is so sad, but I've been there in the last 10 years. And you see the same people, same faces. 4 years ago, it was a graveyard. A graveyard. You walk the corridors of the RSA conference, you thought the industry is dead. Nobody cared. And by the way, technology-wise, it was boring. It was incremental. 2 years after, you can raise money. Like there's 100,000 security startups. Money's flowing. You got a superpower. You got a really good-looking guy playing an InfoSec. Really changed. But really, the reason is that something is not working. This is fascinating. It's not working, but we're spending tons of money on it. It feels a bit like a bubble. We're spending a lot of money into security, but it's not working. It's not working, and we're investing more. There's a concept in the VC world, the venture capital world. It's called good money after bad money. It's when you invested in a company, and it's not going really well, but they need money to survive. And you put more money into it. That's good money after bad money, because that money is still good. By the way, it turns immediately bad when you put it in. That's what happens. So really trying to understand what changed. Because from 4 years ago when the RSA conference was dead, to now, where it's buzzing, movies, you get budgets, everybody's investing. How did we get to the point that we read every day in the news that something happened? We actually expect to read it. We expect it for it to happen. And I can tell you, I've been thinking a lot about it. Honestly, I think we should have seen this coming. Really, we should have seen this. It's not a real surprise. If you look at the industry, the information security industry is 20 years old. That's about it. I was talking about it with someone earlier. Since the firewall was invented, right? Check Point came out with the firewall in 95, I guess. Before that, it wasn't really an industry. It was a bunch of stuff. And then in the last 20 years, if you look at everything around information security, it changed dramatically. Everything has changed. Nothing that the way that we operate, the way that we implement infrastructure, the way that the infrastructure looks like, is the same like it was maybe 10 years ago even. Yet, information security, the blueprint for information security is mostly the same. Mostly the same. You remember 10 years, if I gave you a job as a CISO of a company, you would tell me, okay, here's what you do. You put a firewall, you put an IPS, put an IDS, you put antivirus, and maybe you put some monitoring system. That's the blueprint. It's still very much the blueprint today. But everything around security changed. How did the blueprint did not change? And if everything changes and the blueprint does not change, guess what happens? Yeah, you lose. And here's another thing that's really interesting. I just want to give you an example. By the way, I have to tell you that when I look at the information security industry and people say, wow, it's unbelievable the amount of hacking and breaches and all that, I say, actually, it's a miracle we're still up. Really? It's a miracle. It's unbelievable. I mean, think about it's just crazy that we're still up. And you know, if you think about the future, it's even scarier. Yeah, think about the future, and you know, it's not such a distant future. And you're all security practitioners, right? So we're supposed to trust ourselves in securing. So think about this future. I go out of my house, I get into my self-driving car, right? The car identifies me as me. Remotely, by the way, I don't even touch anything, right? I just get close, it knows it's me. I get in, by the way, that car just got an update from the GM central server with a new software update that can, whatever, I don't know, get me to Walmart without me asking to get to Walmart. It's mind reading. I get into that car and it starts driving. And by the way, I have my kids in the back. And it's a self-driving car. It drives itself to Walmart. Now, so I'm asking you guys, based on our last 4 years of success, would you put your kids in that car? No, right? And this is an imminent future. It's now. Did you read Tesla is launching this autonomous car? It's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. This is crazy. I wouldn't trust us with this. I wouldn't. Now, here's another example of what's happening really today. So everybody likes Snowden, right? Not hate Snowden, but it's a great use case. And I think the Snowden, everybody knows, okay, so he took documents. But that's not really interesting. I mean, it's actually, it's very interesting. But there's a couple of things more interesting than just taking documents. First, he took it from the NSA, which I say, oh my God. Like, that is unbelievable. It's the most secure organization in the world. They know everything, and he still got out with it. But here's the thing that's really more interesting than that. Everybody has a Snowden. I don't know which organization you're in. So which organization are you in? Retail. How many Snowdens do you have? Potential Snowdens. 100,000. Right? I did a count of how many Snowdens we potentially have, and I got to 100. Now, I'm defining Snowden with someone that has access to crap loads of data. Sensitive data. Right? So maybe you don't have 100,000, you probably have 100, 150. Now the thing is that 10 years ago, we had maybe 3. By the way, you know who's the original Snowden? The DBA. The DBA was always a Snowden. Because we used to store a lot of sensitive stuff in the database, and he had access to basically everything. He was the original Snowden. 10, 15 years ago, Snowden theoretically was the DBA. One-to-one relationship. Today, you know how many Snowdens you have? Your storage manager, Snowden. Virtualized your data center, your virtualization manager, the mother of all Snowdens. This guy can go home with your data center on a memory stick. A big enough memory stick. By the way, think about this. You're moving stuff to the cloud. You have Snowdens you don't even know. 10 times. So it's a miracle. We're still up. I want to tell you another thing that's really interesting from my travel is that Europeans think that this is an American problem. Because they read the news and it says eBay, Zappos, whatever, all American names. And they say, okay. And obviously, by the way, you know why is that? It's not that we suck. What? That is sort of true, but there's a bigger issue. It's actually a simpler issue. Breach notification laws. You have to report. The US, good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter. You have to report these breaches. Right? So actually the amount of breaches you read about, if everybody had to report, probably the number would be 10 times. But anyway, it's really a miracle that we're up. By the way, don't try. I asked this Snowden question in India. I was presenting to a banking conference, and I asked them, how many Snowdens do you have? And at the beginning, people don't get it. Say, I'm not sure. So you have a lot. Because Snowden is, again, like I said, someone that has access to information, and I can motivate him to do something. Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's whatever Edward Snowden's the original, the inventor of the system, whatever his motivation was. There's always a Snowden. Anyway, so if I'm looking at this, I want to try and think about what should we do different. So we said the blueprint didn't change. It's not working. We're losing the battle. You're getting money now because everybody's scared to death. At some point, they're going to go and say, guys, okay, it's not working. So let's talk about 3 things that I think as an industry we have to do different, mindset-wise, philosophy-wise, and in order to change the way this game looks like. So I'm going to talk about 3 things: broken plans, split personality, and the road to awesomeness. Okay? Awesome, by the way, is an amazing word that used to be not awesome until 5 years ago. It actually was like this nerdy word. Silicon Valley made awesomeness awesome again. And we're going to talk about the road to awesomeness. So 3 things, broken plans. So like I said, I'm Israeli. So you know what every Israeli wants to be when he grows up? Like if you get an Israeli kid, a boy, 11 years old, and you ask him, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you think the answer is? By the way, in America, it's, I want to be a my son here now, he wants to be an NBA player. He's this size, he's Jewish, I don't think it's going to work. But, maybe, but, you know. What do you think Israelis want to be? That is very modern of you, but not true. Soccer? No? No? Oh, that's very close. Someone sees the news at least. Yeah. Fighter pilot, exactly. They all want to be, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I'm telling you, it's like 9 out of 10 they want to be fighter pilots. It's cool, you're very high, you get all the good looking girl. I'm telling you, there's a lot of things around being a fighter pilot in Israel. By the way, I ask this question across the world. A lot of the time it's sports. I have to tell you that the most interesting plan A I ever heard, because that was my plan A, to be a fighter pilot. The most interesting plan A I ever heard about is in the Czech Republic, and check me out. Check me out. You know what they want to be in the Czech Republic? A garbage truck driver. And I'm shitting you not. They want to be a garbage truck driver. And so I asked this and I said, you gotta be kidding me. A garbage truck driver? And they said, yes. I said, why? They said, it's a really nice truck. And so I was going to say, okay, how nice can it be? So I have to tell you, I did see the truck. It is an amazing truck. Garbage trucks in the Czech Republic, in Prague, are beautiful. They're orange, they're nice, but seriously, that is a very funky plan A. Even if the truck is nice. It still smells, it's still garbage. But you know what's common between whatever you want it to be as your plan A, and my plan A, and the garbage truck driver plan A? Plan A's fail. Plan A's fail. And you guys maybe had a plan B, maybe you just ran into information security or whatever you're doing, but plan A's fail. Information security, the blueprint, since the institutionalization of information security practitioners has been plan A. We're going to prevent the breach from happening. Forever. Firewalling, blocking, stopping, identifying, detect. Plan A has been forever. We're going to stop the breach. That's where we invested our money. And by the way, to a large extent, we're continuing to do that. We had a firewall, we're putting a next generation firewall, a super duper next generation firewall, a 2000 and 10,000 firewall. We're planning to stop the breach from happening. Plan A's fail. We need a plan B. We have to have a plan B. Plan A's will fail. Now, what is plan B for information security? If assuming that a breach is going to happen, or something, a breach is a very big term, by the way. Someone that you don't want to will have access to something that is not supposed to do. That is a breach. So what is our plan B in information security? Now, I can talk for an hour about plan Bs, but I want to give you 3 pointers to some stuff that you should be thinking about as Plan B components. One has nothing to do with technology. Have a communication plan. Have a communication plan. What is very common across the board in everybody that had a hack, Target, Home Depot, whatever you name it, is that you saw they were silent at the beginning. They didn't know what to say, who to say to. They didn't know. Have a communication plan in place. So something will happen. Who do you talk to? What do you say? Who's in the know? Have a communication plan in place. Part of a plan B. Second piece is have solutions in place that help you understand what did you lose. Because I can tell you, I don't know if you experienced a breach. The first question you're going to be asked is not, how did this happen? How did you let this happen? The first question is going to be, what did we lose? This is the first question. Your job depends on your ability to answer, what did we lose? Not on preventing that. What did we lose? Have solutions in place that allow you to understand what did you lose. And there are solutions like that. There's technologies around that can help you do that, but you need to have that mindset, the Plan B mindset. I call it the seatbelt mindset. You remember, so seatbelt is exactly a Plan B. Your Plan A is not to have an accident. Right? The problem, by the way, with Plan Bs, just like with the seatbelt, is that unless I force you, you don't put it on. I remember I never put a seatbelt before it was a law. But have a Plan B. So we talked about communication plan. Know what happened. I'm telling you, first priority. Put solutions in place that help you answer the question, what did we lose? It's going to be the first question you're going to be asked. The third one, the third component that you might want to think about as far as Plan B is seatbelts, right? So you know Zappos, the online shoe retailer? Right? Usually women say, yeah, I do, right? But I'm a big customer of theirs. So 3-4 years ago, they got hacked just like everyone, okay? And the news release said, Zappos, the online shoe retailer, got hacked. They lost 12 million records, including names, addresses, and the last 4 digits of a credit card. Okay? So for the untrained eye, it is OMG, oh my God, they lost 12 million records. For the trained eyes, who cares about the last 4 digits? These are the digits we just give. Nobody cares about them. So why do you think someone would take the last 4 digits? They took 16. The first 12 were encrypted. They took 16. They took all of it. They took whatever they could. They had access. They took 16. 12 were encrypted. You know what's the difference between 12 and 16? And by the way, no smart ass should say 4 now. Because I figured that piece out myself. The difference is calling 12 million people and asking them to cancel the credit card, putting credit monitoring services on top of that, then going to the bank, getting a new credit card. That is the difference between 12 digits and 16 digits. It's a big, big difference. Big difference. Encryption done right, you can screw up encryption just like you can screw up anything, is a very interesting part of Plan B. And by the way, it's been very highlighted in the news recently around the discussion around Anthem and a couple of others. Again, it's not, by the way, it's not a bulletproof mechanism. You need to do it right. But it's a very interesting part of Plan B. Now, the problem with Plan B, and I talked with someone around this morning, is that a lot of people get paralysis. You know what's that? You know, by the way, learned physics in high school, right? You remember static friction and kinetic friction? Yeah? You do? You seriously do or you don't? I'll explain it. So kinetic friction is the friction you have when you move. So this is kinetic friction. So I have the friction between the resistance of the table. Static friction is the friction that you have before you start moving. Right? That's why, by the way, and check it out, Google it. Static friction, it's a rule, always higher than kinetic friction. Always higher. That's why, generally speaking in life, the hardest part is to start. Right? And one of the things that people get, they run into when they try to think about Plan Bs is static friction. The immediate question is, oh, where do I start? Everything is sensitive. I don't know where my stuff is. There's a lot of data. It's everywhere. True. But let me give you a metaphor. So I live in a house. Do you have an alarm system in your house? Yeah, I have an alarm system. I live in Baltimore. I have an alarm system in my house. But if someone goes into my house and goes into the living room and takes the LCD. Do I care? I won't say I don't care. Actually, by the way, as a man, I can tell you, great excuse to buy that new curved one from Samsung and justify this to the wife, all good. I'm actually totally okay with it. Totally okay with it. If he goes into my house, goes up, gets into the bedroom, and and whatever, I don't know, takes the jewelry, do I care? I don't care. He goes in, I'm there. I care more, but I really don't care. There's only one room in the house I really care about. Which room? The kids' room. If I could take down the alarm system and put, all the mechanisms, sell the windows on eBay and put 2 big bodyguards in front of my kids' rooms, that's what I would do, because that is really the only room I care about. You all have kids' rooms. You know where they are. You don't need a data classification project to know where your kids' rooms are. You know where they are. By the way, the attackers know where they are. That's where they go. They don't care about your PC or... They don't care. If they use it, it's only to get to the kids' room. That HR system, that database system, your virtualization environment. By the way, how do you know where the kids' rooms are? You usually put a Snowden next to them. If you see a Snowden, he's probably next to a kid's room. So you know where these kids' rooms are. The static friction that you're paralyzed with, starting with a plan B, irrelevant. Start. Start. The first thing that will make you stop is the start. Start. You know where the kids' rooms are. Have a plan B. Start with the kids' rooms. That is part 1, broken plans. Make sense? Okay, let's move to split personality. So here's the thing. Even though we're cool and we have movies and all that great stuff, we really, I think information security practitioners in the companies are just there on the same level with lawyers and accountants as the most hated people in the organization. Congratulations to all of us. We are. Nobody likes us. Nobody likes us. You know why? Because we say no. But, information security 20 years ago, 10 years ago, it's even worse than just saying no. We were trained to say no. We felt good saying no. At the end of the year, when our boss would do our review, said, how was 2010? Said, man, I said no to like 200 initiatives. Yes. Great. There's a couple of problems with that. One is that we live in a world of yes. This is a world of yes. The last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, we get everything we want and we get it now. You use Amazon, right? You use Amazon, obviously. You're an Amazon Prime customer, subscriber, whatever you call it. That thing, the 2 days delivery, free delivery, you go online, you order like a 10,000 pound fridge, you click order, 2 seconds go by, you get a text, your order is on its way. You say, what? What do you mean the order is on its way? And then the day after, or the 2 days after, it just lands. By the way, they launched now something in Baltimore, they're experimenting, so it's going to come soon. Prime Now. 1 hour delivery. 1 hour, no drones yet, but 1 hour delivery. 1 hour. A world of now. I talk with my kids, I have 3 boys. When I say no to them, it's like they have a blue screen. Kernel error at X00577. What do you mean no? Maybe you didn't understand the question. I said, can I have it? I said, no. Whoa, what? Yeah, you get your iPhone. You remember how complex was it to download stuff, to get a game, you get to the iPhone. You click it. The app is there. It just gets updated. You want to buy something, you just click. The credit card. It's a world of now. You have Jimmy John's. I just noticed it yesterday that you have a sandwich company. But their whole claim to fame is how fast they are. They don't talk how tasty the sandwiches are. I never tasted it, but they're obviously very fast. It's a world of now, yes. The whole cloud revolution is about now. Cloud as a technology doesn't matter. Cloud is really about elasticity, about now, about I can just get it. And we're sitting here in security trained to say no. And I can tell you that there's only one thing that will get you fired faster than a breach. Just try to continue and say no. Try to continue and say no in the next 2-3 years. to cloud, to mobile, to opening the web, to new customers. Try to continue and say no. You won't have a job. Your replacement will be one that knows how to say yes. He won't be this stupid guy that just says yes to everything. But he will know how to say yes. And this is really the transformation we have to go through as an industry, because when we say no, people go around it. I sat with one of the largest hedge funds in the US last week, and he said, I'm quoting him, he says, listen, I can't say no anymore. The barbarians are at the gate. It's a quote unquote. And it's, you all are experiencing this. So you can't say no. You cannot say no anymore. No is not an option. You will get fired. You'll get fired. So you need to say yes. But how can you say yes? Because you can't just say yes. It's not good practice to say yes. So I'll give you, so again, I can talk about this for an hour. I won't. But I can tell you that the road to yes, between no and yes, goes through no with a K. Goes through knowing. And the only way for you to say yes is to understand where the business is going before he went there. And have plans in place on how to say yes to it. So you have to know first. Because I can tell you, if you wait, you'll have to say no. If cloud happened to you, you said no. Because you had nothing. You had nothing. Mobile just happened to you, you said no. Because you had nothing. You have to know in advance. You have to be proactive. You have to have a seat in the business discussions. Where is the company going? What are the IT initiatives that are going to happen? And what do you need to do and plan for? And which technologies and processes in order to say yes to them? The other part of no is let the business know what are the risks. So I'm going to help you say yes to this. Here's the risks. It's a business decision. It's not your decision. It's a business decision. You're in charge of saying yes with a no with a K. That is your responsibility. Now, if you think about it, then it's, I would say this, listen, it will take time to absorb some of this, and definitely there's more depth that needs to go into it when you go back home. Stop saying no today. Don't say no again. Worst case scenario. You didn't get ready, you didn't know with a K yet. Here's a quote, you can quote this. Write it down. You say, hey, I got it. I want to say yes to this. Give me some time to understand how I'm going to say yes to this and allow you to do this. And I'm going to let you know about the risks. Stop saying no today. Today. By the way, in that same minute, the first time you said that sentence or your version of it, you're a hero. You're a partner. You're a business enabler. Did you get that sentence, or do I need to repeat it? You got it, right? Okay. So stop saying no. Okay, so that's version 2. Because, again, first you lose your job, which is not fun. Second, seriously, you're not part of the discussion anymore. You're not a business enabler. And really, people are just going to go around you. If you become a partner, there's going to be less risk. You're actually reducing the risk by saying yes, by finding the right way to say yes. And so the only no you can use is no with a K. Okay? So that's the second part. So let's not talk about awesomeness. I don't know how much time I have. I tend to talk too much. So let's talk about awesomeness. So you know what also awesome? I was trying to figure out what does awesomeness mean to me. Because it's a very big part of my life. And so I think awesomeness is like cool, but on steroids. Like a really enhanced cool. And if you think about it, we live in a world of awesomeness. Today, the stuff that wins, the things we buy, we buy them because they make us feel good. They're awesome. You remember the first time you bought an iPhone? Right? The first time you put your hands on that iPhone and you said, shit, this is great. I remember before when the iPad launched, and I said, I don't get it. It's not a phone, it's not a PC, what am I going to do with it? And then I touched it on the Apple Store. By the way, the whole Apple Store experience, it's awesome. You go in and you say, shit, this is awesome. And you don't know what makes it awesome, but it's awesome. And then you touch the iPad, and it's awesome. Have you ever driven a Tesla or sat in a Tesla? Right? Did you? You sat in a Tesla or driven a Tesla? You drive a Tesla? Okay, you sat in, okay, good. So I can tell you this. So you know Tesla is an electric car, blah, blah, blah. I know, so I have a lot of friends in Silicon Valley. 10 of them, about, maybe 9 or 10, doesn't matter, have a Tesla. You would think they bought it because it's electric, right? Bullshit. You know why I mean, maybe one of them is a tree hugger and he bought it because it's electric, right? But the other people, you know why they bought the Tesla? Because it's awesome. You sit in a Tesla, and I'm telling you people, it's like driving an iPad. That's how it feels. You sit in it and you're saying, oh my God, you like swipe your hand, you drag and drop stuff. And it's just an awesome experience. And it looks like it looks, and awesome. Did someone buy it because it runs faster than a Porsche? No, who cares? Does it go 400, 500? Who cares? It's awesome. If someone told me, hey, take a Galaxy, and by the way, people always try that. I make fun of people with Androids like Mark. There's, like, someone tried to convince me to move to an Android. I say, I'm not even going to even touch it. And he can come and say, but the camera here is like 50,000 megapixel, and the processor is an IBM Cray supercomputer, whatever. I don't care. It's not awesome. You touch that iPhone, everything just works. You touch the back, it's just smooth. It just works. It's beautiful. It's awesome. So that's the good news. The bad news is that we're in security. We are the antichrist of awesomeness. This is really bad news. Awesomeness, design, is not our thing. It's not our thing. We're security. It's vendors. You hear vendors talk about security. What do they sell you? This is the most secure thing on earth. This is so strong you can't break. Who cares? Yeah, I care, but if it's not awesome, I don't care. Your users, you can implement whatever you want. Protect the organization from world hunger. If it's not a great user experience, then it doesn't matter. You didn't do your job. Now, I can tell you one thing. Being involved in this business for a long time and being part of trying to figure out what makes things awesome. And I can tell you one lesson I learned. If you don't plan for awesomeness, it will not happen. Awesomeness doesn't just happen. You won't get your system to just work for a great user experience, to users to say, wow, this is great, if you didn't plan for it. If awesomeness, user experience, is not your number one priority there, it's not on your list. When you get out the RFP, you have a security program. You have 62 programs in there. How many of you have awesomeness as the number one requirement for them? Don't answer. You don't. It has to be there. You want to plan for the experience and work backwards for the technologies that will enable this experience in a secure way. What we always do is the backwards. We do a secure thing and then we say, I really hope this will be usable. But we live in this age that everybody expects awesomeness. You know, there's this triangle in security. I used to talk about it forever. It's risk, cost, and usability. And as an industry, we've been so much focused on risk and cost. Usability was this thing that happens at the end. The rest of the world totally moved out of there. But like I said about the Tesla, performance is second to experience. Second. And if you don't plan for it, it will not happen. But I can tell you this. You become awesome officers. You're heroes. You're heroes. Just like Plan A people are a dime a dozen. Plan A people there's a billion Plan A people outside there. Like if I would ask any CISO here, how many people do you have that know how to manage a firewall? Say like can get like 100 of them. How many people do you know how to build a Plan B? Not a lot. Just like that. Just like learning to say yes is a personal competitive advantage for you. The same thing, if you plan for awesomeness, if you figure out, and by the way, it's not that hard. Again, don't surrender to static friction. Just plan for it. Say, I want to start, when your guys come in and say, hey, I'm going to do this and that, you say, stop. How does the user experience look like? What do we want the user experience to look like? And then work backwards into the technology. It's that simple. There's more to that, but start with this, you're okay. Just like starting with that sentence, I don't want to say no. I I want to tell you a story. I was in India a couple of years ago. Anyone been to India? Yeah? Did you? So Delhi. You've been to Delhi? Oh, you know what? It's all the same in this context. Driving in India. By the way, driving in India. Do your YouTube video, Delhi traffic. It is, there's no word to describe it. There's like a gazillion cars. They're all honking and horning. People, there's no, signs and lights, street, they don't matter. They're not even a recommendation. They don't matter. People just go. And there's these scooters just flying around, like boom, boom, all over the place. And you see like this baby scooter with like 5 people on it. And you know what's interesting? No one wears a helmet. No one wears a helmet. And I'm telling you, in a tank, I wouldn't go into the streets there. I would die after like 5 minutes. And they go with these scooters and don't wear a helmet. And I was looking at that, and it took me like, I've been there several times, so like 2 or 3 times. I noticed, I said, so I asked, sample size of 5. So it's not like I did all of Delhi. Sample size of 5 scooter drivers. Why aren't you putting on an helmet? What do you think the answer is? They're going to die anyway, that's no. It's not comfortable. It's not comfortable. These people, between that performance, security, and usability experience, they decided on comfort. Just like your users would do. Every day, that's what your user would do. They will not wear a helmet if it's not comfortable. Every day. So what's the conclusion? 2 conclusions. 1, if you have an idea for a comfortable helmet, huge opportunity in India. Let's go at it. That's one. Second thing is really, you need to think about your users. They will not wear a helmet. Now, these 3 things that I talked about are very different than what we're used to as an industry. They're different. It's just an evolution that we need to go through. By the way, there's a quick commercial break about SafeNet. Really commercial break. We do 2 things. We only do 2 things. It's not that complex. We protect identity, so we're very big into user authentication and things authentication, the industrial internet, whatever you call it. And we're very big into encryption, right? And when we developed our products, we developed them in the same philosophy that I just talked about. So if you want to see how awesomeness looks like, seriously, if you want to see awesomeness in security, because you're saying, oh, this guy talks about awesomeness. You want to see awesomeness? Take a 15-minute demo of our strong authentication solution, user authentication. See how awesomeness looks like when you design for awesomeness. When it doesn't just happen. Don't buy anything. Just take a look. We'll give you some perspective. And we do a lot of encryption. Encryption, like I said, it's part of Plan B. It's a part. It's not all of Plan B. And it allows you to say yes to a lot of things, like cloud. So we use encryption. A lot of our customers use encryption to say yes. One of the best use cases I like is we have this law firm company that they wanted to use the cloud for distributing files. And the problem they had is that, by the way, the CISO said, no, obviously. And they said, why no? He said, because I have regulatory compliance issues when the customer, if he leaves me, I have to delete the files. And if I press delete, is it deleted? If it's in the cloud? By the way, I don't know the answer to that. Is it? By definition, by the way, it's not. I can tell you, like Amazon has like 1,000 snapshots of this thing happening all over the place. You don't know, you can't say it's deleted. The only way to own that data, if you want to, is to encrypt it before it goes to the cloud and keep the key. You want to destroy the data, destroy the key. That's what we do. So we're into that type of things. So that's the 5 seconds commercial break. But seriously, if you want to see awesomeness, check out the user authentication thing. But let's summarize 3 things, okay? And this is life and death as security practitioners that we have to focus on. Have a plan B in place. Remember, have a plan B. We talked about communication plan, know what happened, what did they take, and make sure that you do something have a seatbelt. Okay? Plan B. Learn to say yes, or find your replacement that will know how to say yes with a K. And be awesome. You want to be that guy from that movie? That good-looking guy? 2 things. Plastic surgery. Okay, forget that one. But learn how to put awesomeness as part of your DNA. It won't just happen. You do these 3 things. You're by definition creating not only more security, you're creating a competitive advantage for yourself in an industry that's going through its midlife crisis. It's going through its midlife crisis. It's standing there asking, how did I get here? And it's confusing right now because it's cool and there's a lot of money being spent. Don't get distracted by it. It's going to explode, this bubble. If you don't move, if you don't change, you don't evolve, you don't start really solving things and adapting to the new realities, you'll be on the wrong side of the bubble when it explodes. This is the time. So you're going to do something about it or not? Yes? Okay, so that's it. Thanks, guys.